So, the Fool's Journey, another thing altogether. The Fool's Journey is basically saying, hey, where we go, we can never really leave it behind. We never leave home behind, but when we come back to home, we're not quite the same. And therefore, we never really come home again. It's sort of like the saying, you never walk in the same river twice, because the river's always moving. And we are always growing, and we are always changing. So as a writer, the Fool's Journey is super representative to me of that hero's journey, where you leave, you go on your adventure, you meet some new and interesting people, which is exactly what happens to the Fool. He meets the magician, we'll talk about him next, the high priestess and the emperor, and then, you know, the devil himself, so to speak. Crossroads are a thing, man. And the Fool is the character who goes through the major arcana. The Fool is you. The Fool is the character who we are following. He is the hero. So when you are creating your Fool card, or when you are reading a Fool card, look at it that way. This is the individual who is experiencing all things. I would like to point out, I'd like to get a little esoteric on you. I see the Fool kind of as the all-knowing as well as the unknowing. I see the Fool as kind of God made man in a way, because it's the Fool come down from a space of enlightenment, perhaps, to experience all that life has to offer, the good and the bad. Because as we will see as we go through the major arcana, or if you've watched some of my other videos breaking down those cards, the major arcana, that story isn't just an up and up and up and an awakening. It's ups and downs and experiences and loves and losses and joys and sorrows and all of these things. So when you are creating your Fool card, they are the hero of the story. So in a lot of ways, your Fool entity, your Fool character, could be who you write into each of the other cards. So maybe somewhere in your other cards, you've got the Fool sitting and watching these things happening, experiencing them, or participating, so why did I start out with the Fool card first? Because this is a journey for me as well. And so I figure, why not start with the journey itself, the individual who represents the journey, the card that represents the journey. And it also is a very foolish endeavor. I've been reading tarot cards and using tarot cards and playing with tarot cards, because let's be real, you play with them as well, and collecting them, because I'm addicted to them, for most of my life. A really long time. My grandmother is the first one that showed me tarot cards when I was a kid, and they've stuck with me. I have been on the Fool's Journey. The interesting thing about the Fool's Journey is you never really stop. You start and you go through the adventure, and then you go back home again, and you kind of recuperate and you reassess all this shit that you did, and then you go back out and you do it again, and the spiral continues. But I figured that starting with the Fool card is also great for anybody who is just learning the tarot and wants to really connect with it. So what I recommend is not just drawing, or as Mary is doing, and some of my other students are doing, is kind of creating collage art. If you can't draw, I'm trying to stretch my drawing skills again and draw a little bit. I might do a compilation of things. And while you're doing this, also write about it. Write your story as the Fool. Write about how you got into tarot. Write about the adventures that you've had in your life. Write about where you have been that person who is on the brink, that person who's on the edge of the cliff, and maybe the little dog or the little friend, ally of some sort, who kind of pulls you back and prevents you from doing really stupid things that will have you off the edge of a cliff. We'll talk about the cliff very soon. And something that will kind of stick with you, even if you don't finish your deck. I think writing your story about the hero that you are, writing the adventure that your fool goes on, or just writing the adventure that you think the fool in your tarot deck is going to go on, will help you kind of embody the meaning of the cards, will help you embody what the tarot, and especially the major arcana, because the major arcana are so important to knowing kind of what this journey is all about, and kind of the journey of the self. I might get a little psychological on this. I'll try not to. Esoteric is one thing. Psychological is something else. I don't have the degree for this. Anyway, write the story of your fool. Who are they? Where did they come from? Where do they think they're going? And what did they pack in that pack? Okay, go right ahead, judge my artistic abilities. It's fine, judge away. I know some really brilliant artists. I am not one. And I'm just starting out on this. You're going to see, it's going to turn into something better, I promise. Anyway, I can't decide if this is my fool. Lucy's yelling at me. I can't decide if this is my fool card or if this is my magician, because she does seem very joyful and a little aloof, and she's got wine spilling out of her glass, but she also has a lot of the stuff that the magician might have. So maybe you guys can help me decide. Is she the fool or is she the magician? But what I've also decided is maybe she is both. And I also think that she might show up in the Three of Cups card. And as I was saying, if she is the fool, she is the character in the whole story. So maybe she shows up a bunch of times. Maybe she shows up a couple of times. Maybe I'm freaking lazy and I'm just going to reuse the same image to make, a full set of tarot cards for the first time ever. I've only been doing tarot cards forever. And now I'm finally making a deck. Hopefully. We'll see. Tons of accountability. Keep up on me.